Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're going to look at what if Naruto story never ended. And if you want more stories like this, please leave a like, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. Let's get into the video. Teacher evaluation. We thought we had enough time period jumping around with the future chapters and the Lil chapters. So we didn't think we needed to place another chapter in a strange time zone. Also, the annoying lack of Neji, Lee and Tenten was annoying. Actually, Tenten not being there was quite nice, but Neji and Lee were characters that we definitely missed. But now you may enjoy it. Alright class, said Iruka, standing in front of his wide-eyed and attentive students. We've had an exciting year, children. But now, before we take the final test to decide whether or not you're graduating, you must fill out this teacher evaluation. The class gave a groan. I know it's a pain, said Iruka. But I'm required to do this because I need to know what I have to improve about my teaching. Will this at all determine whether or not we graduate? Kiba asked, raising his hand for no reason since he called out anyway. For some of you, it might. Iruka said as he started passing out the papers. This evaluation has 9 questions. Please answer them all truthfully and don't write your name on the paper. The class started vigorously working on their teacher evaluations. Sasuke looked at the first question that read, "What did you enjoy the most about your years in the academy?" He picked up his pencil and stared at the paper. He strained his brain to think of something he enjoyed about the academy years. Of course, he did have some enjoyable moments, but he far too angsty to admit that. Besides, as far as he was concerned, the academy was just a useless time period in which he did not learn anything or have any fun at all. I enjoyed. He paused and picked the pencil up, tapping it on his desk. Kiba was on the second question already. What did you least enjoy about your years about the academy? Kiba got a silly idea. Actually, it was Akamaru's idea. He whispered the idea to Kiba and Kiba just thought it was the most hilarious thing ever. And as long as he didn't write his name on the paper, Iruka would never know. I least enjoyed you, Iruka. You're stench in your head and you're ugly and you have dumb hair. Kiba laughed to himself as he kept writing and Akamaru kept feeding into the already raging inferno. Kiba was also most likely spouting out a Yahoo every once in a while as he wrote. Shoji wasn't having nearly as much fun as Kiba. He was on the third question that read, "What should I do differently next year?" Shoji knew right away what he would write. Longer lunch periods. He wrote, and even added the exclamation point. And more choices in the cafeteria. He was already on a roll. He'd be finished with this evaluation in no time. Did you feel comfortable in the classroom setting? Hinata read. We all know that Hinata is not really comfortable anywhere, but after a quick look at Naruto who was writing on his evaluation, she found the strength to write as well. I felt comfortable in the classroom setting. After writing that, she stopped and paused for a moment. Because she waited some more. She didn't really know who or what she was waiting for. The people were pleasant. More waiting. And, wait, you were pleasant too. She blushed and was suddenly afraid that Iruka might think she was trying to come onto him or something. So she quickly erased that part. But then she thought that she had to say something about his teaching. You were a pleasant teacher as well. That suited her. Naruto, meanwhile, was having trouble with question 5. At any point, did you feel threatened in my classroom? He didn't know what to say. He knew that Iruka knew his handwriting, so he couldn't come outright and say that everyone was mean to him for no reason. He'd look like a pussy. And what if Iruka read these out loud? Then everyone would think that Naruto was a pussy. No. Naruto nodded with satisfaction at a job well done. Ino moved on to question 6 after successfully completing question 5. Did you enjoy the dynamics of the classroom? Even though she wasn't exactly positive what the question was asking, she chose to answer it like she had answered all her other questions. Yes, and I enjoyed Sasuke's company. She wrote. I feel as though I am a better ninja with Sasuke in my classroom. Perhaps you ought to team me up with him in the 3-man teams after we graduate. Then she drew a little heart at the end of the sentence. It never even occurred to her that her name was not written on the paper, so even if Iruka listened to her, he wouldn't have known who requested it. Shikamaru's state was sleeping. Yeah, he never got to answering any of the questions, let alone question 7 that stated, were the lessons exciting enough for you? I suppose the fact that Shikamaru constantly slept through the lessons was a heads up that they were far from exciting enough for his standards. Sakura was speeding through her evaluation while also managing to write a paragraph for each answer, carefully stating her thesis and backing it up with evidence and supporting statements. Do you feel you have improved as a ninja in your years at the academy? I do feel as though I have improved as a ninja in my years at the academy. I know this to be true because I can now throw a kunai, perform basic ninjutsu as well as much more taijutsu than I thought I could learn. In addition to learning all these vital aspects of being a ninja, I have also learned a lot about flower arrangement and other talents that are essential for a female ninja. When I first entered the academy, I could not perform any of these tasks, but now I feel as though I am strong in most of them. For example, the other day when I was arranging flowers for. This continued. On and on and on. Might we add that she was writing incredibly fast and intensely. Shino was on question 9. Do you feel you have improved as a person in your years at the academy? Shino thought long and hard on that one. Finally, he picked up his pencil. No, he wrote. Just when he was about to put his pencil down for good, Aruka came by. You have to write more than one-word answers. He instructed, pointing to all the questions that were all answered with only a few words. Shino stared at Aruka blankly. So Aruka decided that he would just leave Shino alone and quickly run away to hide. Sasuke was still on question 1. I enjoyed that he had gotten one word further. But now he was still stuck. He had to say something so he could keep his cool. Kiba went on to the next questions, continuing to insult Aruka in any way he possibly could. Whether it be his arm or the crazy state of his forehead protector, he could not stop finding small things about Aruka that just tweaked him. Or at least tweaked Akamaru. Shoji had put his pencil down a little while ago because he had suddenly gotten hungry and needed to fill his belly. Hinata continued to answer truthfully and honestly, in the best way she could so she wouldn't hurt Aruka's feelings. So some of them weren't answered quite as truthfully as the others, but at least no one's feelings would be hurt. Naruto was, trying to act all cool. Shikamaru was still sleeping. His paper was blank. Aruka sighed and picked up Shikamaru's paper, not even bothering to push him. Sakura put the last word down her paper and dotted a nice little period at the end. The pencil was steaming and sharpened down the eraser and her hand hurt quite a bit. Shino had finished a while ago, so he was sitting idly by for Aruka to collect his paper. Thank you all for your wonderful feedback, said Aruka as he collected the rest of the papers. Hopefully, I will be able to improve my teaching based on the answers I have received from all of you. He put the papers on his desk. All right, he said, getting serious. Now it's time for the test. Trampoline. This was originally at the beginning of the You Offend Me chapter of the original Naruto primer. But we decided that it was way far out there in left field, so we gave the chapter a new beginning and got rid of the rest of this stuff. We thought it was just way too far out there in Candy Land, and, at that point, Kisame had not been introduced in the series, so that added to the retardedness of it. Itachi and Kisame were both sitting in their secret underground lair. Itachi was staring at the wall and Kisame was playing solitaire. Suddenly, Itachi let out a loud, long sigh. Is something the matter, Itachi? Kisame asked, knowing Itachi had sighed like that only for attention. I am bored. Itachi answered. You're bored? Kisame asked. Do you want to play a two-player game? No. Itachi asked. Do you want to beat me up? No. How about inducing 72 hours of pain on me? No, I don't feel like entertaining myself by watching other people suffer today. I want to do something different. Like what? Kisame asked, putting down his cards. There's nothing we really can do because you killed your clan and I also did some evil deed in my lifetime that I dare not even speak of. I know. Itachi said. Kisame looked down and thought hard for something fun Itachi could do. Did you ever get around to killing those two who spent all your money? Kisame questioned. No, said Itachi. Some other kid showed up and said that I should think up an alternate punishment. Alternate punishment? Kisame said. Yeah, said Itachi. Like mow my lawn or do my dry cleaning. You know, slave work. Itachi, said Kisame. You don't have a lawn. I do your dry cleaning. Why would you need a slave when you have me? Yes, but it would be 2 slaves. Itachi pointed out. I'm better than any old 2 slaves. Kisame said. Kisame, please, I don't feel like discussing other people's suffering or making other people suffer right now. Itachi sighed. But they spent all your money. Kisame said. And you were saving up for that trampoline. That's true, Itachi said. That was rather devastating when I found that all the money was gone when I finally had enough. You know, I was going to use that trampoline to celebrate my birthday. I know, said Kisame. Those 12-year-olds. They're going around with their kibbles and bits. He picked up the receipt that just so happened to be right there on the table. $200 worth of kibbles and bits. Wow. That's harsh. That could have been your trampoline, Itachi. Itachi was silent for a moment. Then he shook his head. I could always think up an alternate punishment. He said. No way, said Kisame. Who was this kid who said that to you? Some white-eyed kid. Itachi answered. Not as awesome as me. I think you should kill him for suggesting such a thing, said Kisame. And also those other 2 kids for denying you of your trampoline. That was for my 18th birthday, Itachi said. That is such a magical age. Such a special age. They took that special and magical thing away from you. Kisame said. Doesn't that offend you? It does, Itachi admitted. I'm just sorry that I won't be there for your party, Kisame said. There will be no party, Kisame. Itachi said, standing up and walking away wistfully. Not without a trampoline. Itachi, you know what you must do. Kisame said. I do, said Itachi. I am off to do some evil bidding. With that, Itachi donned his flowery cloak and went off to find the three he wanted to smite ever so pointlessly. Manly sleepover. This is a new one. The girls got a slumber party, so the boys needed one. A manly one. Lee had had so much fun watching scary movies with everyone and had even more fun after Neji had stayed the night that he decided that he wanted everyone to come over and enjoy themselves. Of course, he couldn't invite the girls because they were getting at that age where it's inappropriate to have a multi-gender sleepover party. After all, Lee's 13 now and he's a big boy. He slaved over beautiful invitations and made a set time and date. He counted down the days until it finally presented itself and, luckily enough, everyone was able to come. Yay. So he waited and waited and waited. His house was stocked with chips and dip and soda up the wazoo. Yes, he was just throwing this party for no reason at all. It wasn't his birthday or a special occasion. Just a nice get-together to remind everyone that they're friends. At least, that's the way Lee sees it. The first person to arrive was Naruto. Happy birthday, Lee, said Naruto as he handed Lee a present. It's not my birthday, Naruto, said Lee, looking puzzled. It's not, Naruto said in a confused tone. No, Lee said. Wait, you did send this invitation, didn't you? Naruto said, pulling the invitation out of his pocket. Yeah, said Lee. I just wanted to have another little party. Oh, said Naruto as he took the present back while eyeing Lee. Then I'll be taking this back. Shikamaru and Shino showed up at roughly the same time. They didn't say anything particularly interesting upon arrival, so everyone waited around for a little while longer until Choji was suddenly at the door. Wow! Exclaimed Choji. Shikamaru. You're here before me. Fancy that, said Shikamaru. Hey, who else is invited to this party? Naruto asked as Lee brought a bowl of chips into the room where they were hanging out. Not Sasuke, I hope. As Lee opened his mouth to answer, the doorbell rang again. So Lee opened the door and Sasuke was standing there. Why did you invite him? Said Naruto, glaring at Sasuke. Sasuke only looked at Naruto with a face that definitely said, I'm better than you. The only people left on my list are Neji and Kiba, said Lee. Then the doorbell rang again. I bet that's them, said Lee as he flung the door open only to see a random pizza delivery boy. Oh, that wasn't done nearly as awesomely as Sasuke's entrance. Of course, said Sasuke. He didn't hear the entire sentence or the context in which his name and the word awesome was used to describe him or something he did, but he wasn't about to disagree with it. Lee paid the pizza man and took the pizza into the kitchen. What kind of pizza did you get? Asked Shoji. Well, I didn't exactly know what kind of pizza everyone likes. Lee said. I mean, I knew what I liked and I also just so happened to know what Neji likes. Sasuke opened one of the boxes to see what looked like a pizza, except it was lacking everything that would potentially make it a pizza. It was just a slab of cooked dough in the shape of a pizza. What is with this bread? He asked finally after being in a stupefied state for a moment or two. Oh, that's Neji's pizza. Lee replied. This is bread, said Sasuke. I know, said Lee. Then the doorbell rang and Lee ran over to open it. When he returned the kitchen, he was accompanied by Neji. This is pretty awesome pizza, Neji, said Naruto sarcastically. And Neji said, I don't like cheese or sauce or any of the toppings. That's obvious, said Naruto. You should have just brought yourself over a loaf of bread instead of making Lee pay for it. Neji only glared his evil glare just as the doorbell rang again and Lee was out of the room in a flash, returning a moment later with Kiba. Sorry I'm late, Kiba said loudly. Akamaru couldn't find his sleeping bag and he refused to leave without it. Everyone stared at each other. Oh, said Kiba. Pizza. Then they remembered the pizza. So everyone went for the pizza. No one went for Neji's lame-o pizza though. Only Neji did. Eat up, everyone, said Lee. I don't want to have any extra pizza hanging around the house for long periods of time. I don't think you have to worry about the pizza being finished, said Shikamaru, gesturing towards Choji. Choji cut out a slice of pizza and then picked the rest of the pizza up out of the box and put it on his plate, leaving the single slice behind. Hey, save some for us, said Kiba, who was genuinely offended. There's plenty, said Choji. Everyone ate their pizza contentedly. As Shino started on his second slice of pizza, he started to wonder what he was doing there. He tried to remember what possessed him to RSVP to Lee and tell him that he would be able to come instead of making up some sort of crazy excuse like, he had to clean stuff. But at least he got free pizza out of the deal. Otherwise he would have just been sitting at home all alone. And cleaning stuff. I thought I was boring, said Shikamaru, looking at Neji, who was now eating his bread with a fork and knife. I at least eat my pizza with sauce and cheese on it. Is anyone else going to make fun of my pizza? Neji said, dropping his fork and knife. Leave Neji and his pizza alone, said Lee. That is not pizza, said Kiba, who was genuinely offended by this as well. Hey, yelled Naruto suddenly, slamming the cover of the pizza box down on Sasuke's hand. What do you think you're doing? Getting another piece of pizza? Sasuke said with a raised eyebrow. What makes you think you can have a third piece while I'm still on my second piece? Naruto demand. I eat faster than you do. Sasuke tried. Sasuke, we each only get 2 pieces of pizza until we know there's enough pizza for everyone. Naruto decided. I think there's plenty. Said Lee. Besides, Choji's already broken that rule. Said Sasuke. I think he's had 2 pizzas already. So, said Choji. I think Akamaru is only going to have 1 piece. Kiba said. I doubt he'll even finish this one. Akamaru barked at Kiba. What are you talking about, Akamaru? You never finish your pizza. What makes this time so special? Fine, whatever. Said Sasuke, leaning back. You can have another piece. Said Lee. I think everyone's had at least 2 pieces by now. I'm done. Said Shikamaru, putting his napkin on the table after finishing 2 slices. Oh Shikamaru. Said Choji. Don't you think you can eat just 1 more slice? Not if Naruto is going to yell at me for it, said Shikamaru. Besides, I'm full anyway. 2 is enough for me. Hey Lee, is there anything to drink? Kiba asked. Oh right. Said Lee, slapping his forehead so enthusiastically that it looked like he was right out of a silent film. I forgot all about the drinks. I'll be right back. He got up from the table and went to get some soda. Then he brought it all to the table. After that, he went back to the refrigerator and pulled out bottled water and a juice box. Here's your water, Neji. Said Lee. Shikamaru looked at Neji with a questioning expression as he unscrewed the cap and placed it next to his slice of bread. What? Neji said, taking note of the fact that Shikamaru was staring at him. You eat bread and water for dinner. Shikamaru said. At a party. Yes. Said Neji. Why are my eating habits bothering you? Shikamaru shrugged. He didn't even know why he was so bothered. Lee, do you have any more of those juice boxes? Sasuke asked. Sure, why? Lee asked. I don't like soda. Sasuke answered. Okay. Said Lee as he frolicked back to the fridge and pulled out another juice box. Wow. Said Kiba. Soda. Right in front of me. He grabbed the biggest cup he could and filled it up to the very top. Akamaru barked at him. Shish, said Kiba. Be quiet, Akamaru. Don't tell them. Here, I'll give you some too. He poured another glass for Akamaru. Akamaru looked, at first, conflicted, but then he drank it anyway. What's that all about? Shino asked. I'm not supposed to have soda. Kiba whispered, but everyone could hear him anyway. Neither am I. Said Lee. It makes me hyperactive and I can't get to sleep after I drink just a little bit. That's the same reason I can't drink it. Said Kiba. I swear I'm going to be up all night after I drink this cup and the many more after that I am ready to pour myself. Who's with me? Kiba, give that to me. Said Shino, leaning over to take the cup since he was sitting across from Kiba. Your mom, Shino. Said Kiba as he scooted back in his chair so he was out of Shino's reach. Is there any pizza left? Choji asked, licking his fingers. You ate it all. Lee exclaimed. No, he didn't eat Neji's dumb pizza. Said Naruto. Yeah, said Neji, opening up the box only to find that it was empty. Hey, he did eat it. I didn't even get a second piece. That's what you get for eating your pizza with a knife and fork. Said Shikamaru. I was hungry. Said Choji. Well, there's no more pizza, but there's plenty of chips. Said Lee. Do you guys want to finish the disembodied head that ate people as we eat the chips? You guys never saw the end of it. Oh yeah, said everyone. I don't want to watch it, said Naruto. That movie was dumb. And there were too many continuity errors. Shikamaru added. If Shikamaru doesn't want to watch it, we shouldn't. Choji said. He's a chunin after all and he could kick our butts if he doesn't get his way. The plot was boring. Said Sasuke, but it was all a front. The mere thought of the movie was making him sweat. We saw the end already, Lee. Said Neji. Instead of chips, can we have popcorn? Shino asked. Is that the movie with the head and the guy? Kiba asked as he poured himself another cup of soda. I'll take that as a collective no. Said Lee. So what should we do? Well, since the girls always spy on me when they have their sleepovers, we should spy on them. Said Naruto. They so do not spy on you, Naruto. Said Sasuke. You don't know that, yelled Naruto. Yes I do. Said Sasuke. Because they are too busy spying on me. You wish, Sasuke. Said Naruto. The night continued onward like that. They played a few rounds of dare and then went outside and sparred for a little while. After that they played a few random relay races to try to figure out who was the best among them. Finally, it was about 9 o'clock, some people's bedtimes. Sasuke was wearing his Uchiha fan pajamas that matched his Uchiha fan sleeping bag. Shino's pajamas looked exactly like his clothes and for all everyone knew, he just went into the bathroom and walked back out without changing. Lee had on his green sleepers with the feet and the bunny tail and the hood that had bunny ears on them. Naruto had on his pajamas that you see him wearing in the show. Neji had on his pajamas that would fit no one else for they were measured out to be exactly his size and made by only the best Hyuga tailors that were in the branch house. Shikamaru was wearing his lumberjack pajamas. Choji also had sleepers, but they didn't have the feet or the bunny attributes or anything crazy like that. As for Kiba, he decided that since he was staying up all night, he didn't need to change into his pajamas. Everyone dreamt very manly dreams. The next morning, they were awakened by the sound of pots and pans being banged around. Everyone crept upstairs ready to smite an intruder who may have been trying to molest them as they slept, only to find Kiba there. "I'm making everyone breakfast," he announced. "You're all pussies and went to sleep at 9 o'clock, but me and Akamaru stayed up all night. Actually, Akamaru went to sleep at around 2, but I stayed up all night." He hardly finished that sentence when he suddenly let out a loud snore and sprawled out across the table, sleeping. "Oh well," said Lee. "Let's all get changed. Your parents will be here to pick you up soon." "Okay," yelled everyone as they punched the air and the screen froze and they all turned into a drawing, but their laughter continued into the beautiful morning. First dibs. This is a new idea that was sparked after writing teacher evaluation. We never really wrote it. But now we have. Yay. "All right," said Iruka as he looked at the names of the students in the class. He had 9 more students that he had to separate and 3 of his familiar friends to give them to. Sitting alone in his empty classroom, he was absolutely stuck. That's exactly when Asuma, Kurenai and Kakashi came in the door. "Iruka," said Asuma. "How've you been?" "Good," said Iruka. "I swear, the hardest part about being a teacher in the academy is having to separate the students into their 3-man teams. I mean, this could entirely determine the rest of these students' lives as ninjas. I don't want to mess it up." "We'll help you," said Kakashi. "Do you have any left?" "Well, there's Uchiha Sasuke," Iruka said. "Number 1 in the class. Aburame Shino, number 2 in the class. Inazuka Kiba, partner fighting with his dog. Akamichi Choji, from the Akamichi clan. Narashikamaru, second worst in the class. Uzumaki Naruto, worst in the class." The teachers waited. "There are 3 remaining girls in the class as well," Iruka went on. "Yamanaka Ino, the best female ninja in the class. Haruno Sakura, the smartest in the class. Hyuga Hinata, heir to the Hyuga main house." Puzzling indeed," said Kurenai. "How should I split them up?" Iruka wondered. Kakashi cleared his throat. "Dibs," he said. "Dibs," Iruka said curiously. "Dibs on the Uchiha," he said. "Hey," said Asuma. "That's not fair. Dibs on the second best." Kurenai said. "You guys can't just call dibs," said Iruka. "These are the students we're talking about. Though, this will make it easier to balance the team strength out, we could try it out. Then I get the Uchiha." Kakashi said. "We could try," said Iruka. "But you know, if you have Sasuke who is the best in the class, you automatically get Naruto, the worst in the class." I know," said Kakashi. "But if I get the worst in the class, I demand to have the best girl in the class." "You can't have the best boy and the best girl," Asuma yelled, slamming his hand down on the table. "You're just mad that I called them first," Kakashi said. "Remember, I already called dibs on the second best," said Kurenai. "I know," said Iruka. "So Kakashi's team will be Sasuke, Naruto and Ino. Kurenai has Shino. If Kakashi's going to have the best girl ninja, I want the smart girl," said Kurenai. "Sakura," said Iruka. "I have to warn you, she can't really do much else." "That's okay," said Kurenai. "We'll compensate." "Guys, you're leaving me with the worst ones," complained Asuma. "You have to be quicker when you're calling people," said Kakashi. "Like me." "Fine," said Asuma. "Iruka, out of Kiba, Choji and Shikamaru, who's the best fighter?" "Kiba," Iruka answered. "Then I'll take him," said Asuma. "Ha. Okay, since Asuma is going to take Hinata because we need to have at least one girl on each team, only Choji and Shikamaru are still up for grabs," said Iruka as he wrote down all the names. "I'll take Choji," said Asuma. "I don't need a loser last place on my team. He's second to last," Iruka corrected. "Whatever," said Asuma. "Okay, so Kakashi has Ino, Sasuke and Naruto," Iruka said. "Kurenai has Shino, Sakura and Shikamaru, and Asuma has Choji, Hinata and Kiba." He paused and thought about this. "The teams aren't really that fair. I call Sasuke," yelled Asuma. "No, Sasuke's mine," said Kakashi. "Kakashi, you have too much power on your team," said Iruka. "You have to give up either Sasuke or Ino." "Ino," said Kakashi. "Duh. I should get the best girl in the class," said Asuma. "Because Kakashi has the best, Kurenai has the second best and I have no one." "That sounds reasonable," said Iruka with a shrug. "Kakashi, you have Hinata now. I'm keeping my team the way it is," said Kakashi. "I'm still going to look at them," said Iruka. Kurenai, you have absolutely no taijutsu on your team. At all. And Asuma, your team has no brains at all. I thought you said that Ino was the best girl in the class," whined Asuma. "But you have Kiba and Choji to cancel her out," said Iruka. "So I'm going to switch Kiba with Sakura." "Hey," said Kurenai. "I want the smart girl. Now I have all guys on my team. And I have 2 girls," said Asuma. "I don't want 2 girls." That's lame. You can have my girl, Kurenai. Said Kakashi. Okay. Said Kurenai. Which one is it? The Hyuga. Kakashi asked. Okay then. Said Kurenai. Do you want Shikamaru or Kiba? I'm keeping Shino so don't even try. Kiba I guess. Said Kakashi. I don't need the two worst in the class on my team even if I do have the best. I don't know if you want to have Kiba and Naruto on the same team. Advised Iruka. Especially with Sasuke on that team too. He'd probably kill them if you don't kill them first. Kakashi sighed. Fine, I'll take Shikamaru. He said. As long as he had Sasuke, he didn't really care. Wait, I still have two girls on my team. Complained Asuma. And my team is so unpowerful. Then you can take Shikamaru or Naruto and I'll take Ino. Kakashi said. No, Ino's my keeper. Said Asuma. Besides, if you have Sasuke you have to have Naruto. Said Iruka. We've already been through this. So I have to trade the smart girl, said Asuma. But if I trade her for Shikamaru then I won't have any brains on my team anymore. No, Ino's smart, remember. Said Iruka. Besides, Shikamaru and Choji are friends so maybe it would be better if they were on the same team. Actually, come to think of it, Shikamaru, Choji and Ino's dads were on the same team back in the academy. I don't care. Said Asuma. I don't want to have a pathetic team just because their parents are on the same team. Well now I have to put them on the same team. Said Iruka, ignoring Asuma and writing down the new team names. I don't want Shikamaru. Asuma yelled, throwing a temper tantrum. So the teams stand as thus. Said Iruka. Sasuke, Sakura and Naruto on Kakashi's team. Shino, Kiba and Hinata on Kurenai's team. Shikamaru, Ino and Choji on Asuma's team. It's not fair, cried Asuma. I'm happy. Said Kakashi with a shrug. As we said before, as long as he had Sasuke he would be happy. I'm indifferent as usual. Said Kurenai. And I'm finally rid of all of them. Said Iruka with a sigh of relief. Baseball. Someone decided that it would be fun and challenging to play a rousing game of baseball. Not many people agreed to it but once the teachers caught wind of the idea, they officially turned it into a competition. So the teachers shooed the students off home to get a good night's sleep telling them only one thing, there would be captains tomorrow, Hinata and Choji, who would be picking the teams. I hope you all got a good night's sleep. Said Kurenai. How could I sleep? Demanded Naruto. I was up all night trying to figure out who would be on what team. Unfortunately, said Shikamaru. We don't know how well each person will perform in a game of baseball. We're ninjas, not baseball players. You have to attribute special abilities to a game of baseball. Said Asuma. Ah man, this is a looking underneath the underneath thing isn't it? Whined Sakura. Yes. Said Kakashi. So, how about Choji picks first? Said Asuma. No, ladies first. Said Kurenai. No, I said it first. Argued Asuma. Let's flip a coin. Suggested Guy as he pulled a quarter out of his pocket. Heads, Choji picks first. Tails, Hinata picks first. He flicked it up in the air and then it landed. Heads. Guy announced, standing up straight. Right. Said Choji as he looked at the group of people waiting to be picked. He remembered what Shikamaru had insisted upon the night before. Telling him to pick Sasuke first no matter what. He had to do it. He had to pick Sasuke first because Shikamaru had told him to. I pick Shikamaru. He said finally. No, Choji. Said Shikamaru, slapping his forehead. Oh, I meant to say Shikamaru. I mean, Sasuke. Said Choji. Too late. Said Kurenai. You already chose Shikamaru. Now it's Hinata's turn to pick Sasuke. Said Hinata slowly. She was really embarrassed, but after thinking very long and hard the night before, she knew who she was going to pick. It wasn't Sasuke. And by golly, it wasn't Neji either. Naruto. Everyone's jaws dropped to the floor. Sasuke was shocked. Kiba was crying on the inside. In fact, he came very close to crying on the outside. He had expected Hinata to pick him. To be second to Naruto was devastating to him. Naruto was overjoyed. Yay. He cheered as he ran over to Hinata. This has never happened to me before, you know. Usually, I'm one of the last people picked just because I'm me. Not this time. Said Hinata, at a loss of anything else to say. The teachers got over their surprise. Okay, Choji, you have another chance to pick Sasuke. Said Asuma. Choji, pick Sasuke. Said Shikamaru. Oh fine. Said Choji. Sasuke then. See, Shikamaru. Everything worked out in the end. I could pick you first and we got Sasuke on our team. Sasuke was currently feeling inferior after being picked third. Being picked second, he could understand, maybe. But third. Especially since the two people in front of him were Shikamaru and Naruto. And Naruto. That Naruto. Kiba. Said Hinata pointing at Kiba. Kiba slowly walked over to Hinata. He didn't know whether to be happy that Hinata had picked him or sad because she hadn't picked him first. I'm going to pick Shino next. Hinata told Kiba and Naruto. Because we're all on the same team. Then Kiba decided on the emotion of sadness. He was only chosen because Hinata wanted her whole team to be with her and Naruto. Who should I pick now, Shikamaru? Choji whispered to Shikamaru. Well, Shikamaru started. There's no way Hinata will pick Neji, so we'll save picking him for later. I advise you to pick Lee. All right, said Choji. I pick Lee. Yes. Lee yelled happily as he ran over to Choji, Shikamaru and Sasuke and put his hands up for high fives. He didn't really receive any, except for a half-awkward one from Choji. And I choose Shino. Hinata said. Shino silently walked over to Hinata. Kiba shook his fist at Shino on the inside. Hey, Hinata chose all her team members. Choji observed. Next you should chose, Shikamaru started. Ino. Said Choji. Now our whole team is on this team. No, said Sasuke and Shikamaru at the same time. Ino looked just as confused as she walked over to the Choji team. Neji was a little sad at this point. You see, Sasuke had reason to be sad that Naruto and Shikamaru were chosen before him. But Naruto, Shikamaru, Sasuke, Lee, Kiba, Shino and Ino had all been chosen before Neji. The only people that were left at that point were him, Sakura and Tenten. Sakura. Said Hinata nervously, trying to avoid eye contact with Neji who was definitely about to go on the warpath. Choji, you better pick Neji or so help me. Said Sasuke, raising a fist. It's in the team's best interest. Shikamaru added. Then I pick Neji. Said Choji since he always wants to be a team player. Neji crossed his arms and pretty much stomped over to his team while pouting. He had never been picked that close to last at anything. In fact, he was usually chosen first or second. So that means Tenten is with us. Said Hinata. Tenten didn't really care that she was picked last. She just figured that it was because no one knew her. Clearly, she's in Denial City. So the teams are Choji, Shikamaru, Sasuke, Lee, Ino and Neji versus Hinata, Naruto, Kiba, Shino, Sakura and Tenten. Asuma said as he scribed everything down on a piece of paper and put the pencil behind his ear when he was finished. Wow. Said Naruto. These are almost the exact teams that I predicted. No one said, shut up, Naruto, because they were all counting on someone else to say it. But no one said it. So Naruto remained hushed. Your uniforms are all in these boxes. Said Kakashi as he dropped 2 cardboard boxes on the ground. You'll find gloves, hats and jerseys all in there. The woodchucks. Said Naruto as he pulled a jersey out that had a big cutesy woodchuck on the front with the word woodchucks scribed across the front. The uniforms were blue. The hat was decorated with the same woodchuck. Do we have to wear these? Asked Ino as she held up a jersey that had a caramel apple with arms, legs and a face. The caramel apples. Said Shikamaru, glaring at the teachers. They're the only ones we could find. Insisted Asuma. The caramel apples. Shikamaru repeated, his tone elevating slightly. Yes, said Asuma, hiding behind the other teachers. I love caramel apples. Said Lee as he threw his jersey on right over his green body suit and put the hat on. How does it look? You or the caramel apple? Ino said. Everyone changed into their new attire whether they were the blue woodchucks or the red caramel apples. Since we have the stupidest team mascot, can we bat first? Asked Neji. No. Said Kurenai. You guys got first pick when you were choosing teams, so the woodchucks get to bat first. I get to bat first. Naruto yelled as he ran over and grabbed a bat. He stood right at home plate so no one could possibly try and take his spot. Then I bat next. Kiba declared. Hinata was after Kiba and then Shino, Sakura and finally, Tenten. I'll be the catcher. Said Shikamaru to his team as he grabbed a catcher's glove and stood behind home plate. No one was about to argue with him. I'll play third base and shortstop. Sasuke decided since he wanted to make sure he took care of all the most important spots. I wanna pitch. Screamed Lee. Fine, you pitch and Neji'll play first base. Sasuke said, figuring he'd take charge since no one else would. Choji, you play center field. Lee, you'll have to cover second base too. Ino, well, depending on the batter's dominant hand, you're going to switch back and forth from left to right field. In fear of sounding like Shikamaru, that's really troublesome. Ino confessed. Neji wasn't about to admit that he had never been to or seen a baseball game in his life. Let's get this game started. Said Kakashi. But before we do, I couldn't help but notice that pretty much everyone is not wearing their lovely hats that we found for you. I don't want to be wearing this thing. Said Sakura. I don't like this woodchuck. Let's all wear ours backwards for team spirit. Said Lee as he swung his hat around backwards. I think you should at least try to get them to put them on forwards first. Sasuke commented. He was wearing his hat. He liked caramel apples too. I'd have to take my hair down. Shikamaru sighed. Then I'd have to put it back up afterwards. That is all just way too troublesome for me right now. You can all just pretend as though I'm wearing it. I'm ready to pitch. Said Lee in a very pumped fashion as he stood there with the baseball on the pitcher's mound. Play ball. Yelled Asuma since he was the self-proclaimed umpire. Play ball. Come on, Naruto. Sakura called from the bench. Don't screw it up on the first swing. Lee did an extensive wind-up and finally threw the ball in no special fashion whatsoever. It's not like he had been training his entire life to throw a baseball, but he didn't have a girly throw or anything. Naruto was able to hit the ball. Like Lee, he had not been training in baseball for his entire life, so he couldn't score an awesome home run on the first try. He sort of just hit it out to right field where Ino fumbled with it for a second or two before finally picking it up. By the time she turned around to throw it to Neji at first base, however, Naruto had already reached the base. So, instead, she just threw the ball back to Lee. "I got on base," cheered Naruto as he started doing the hustle. "I'll get to second base," Kiba declared as he picked up the bat and went to home plate. Lee did his wind up again, only it was longer, so everyone yelled at him, so he finally threw it. Kiba gave a mighty swing and hit the ball high in the air right towards Sasuke. Sasuke used to play catch all the time when he was little, so he just opened his glove and easily caught the ball sailing right towards him. Then he looked to see that Naruto was unaware of the tagging up rule, so he casually strode over to where Naruto currently was celebrating over his recent achievements and then tapped him with the ball. "I'm already on the base, you moron," said Naruto. "2 outs," yelled Asuma, getting all into the hand motions. "Why?" screamed Kiba and Naruto. Guy pulled them aside to explain the rules of baseball to them, and they both started crying as they went back to the bench and Hinata went up to the plate. She wanted to impress Naruto by getting on base. But she was a little worried that she wouldn't even be able to hit the ball. As it turned out, 3 balls whizzed right by her, and her inability to swing at the right time caused strike 1, 2 and 3 to occur in less than a minute. She was really embarrassed as Kakashi instructed the field players to get on the bench and all the other people to get on the field. "I am definitely batting first," said Sasuke as he took the bat before anyone could argue. "It's not like anyone was going to argue though. I'll show that stupid Sasuke that I can play third base better than him," said Naruto as he ran over to third base. "I'll pitch," said Tenten. "I've got impeccable aim after all." In the end, Shino took a nose position of running back and forth in the outfield. Kiba took first base, Hinata took center field, and Sakura manned home plate as the catcher. "Swing batter 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 batter," chanted Naruto. "Swing. Swing batter batter. Sasuke's got nothing. Sasuke's got nothing. Swing, swing." Tenten pitched the ball and Sasuke swung. There was a very clean smack of the baseball coming in contact with the bat, and then the ball was shot off into orbit, probably never to return again. "Home run," Kurenai yelled as Sasuke ran the bases. "Stupid Sasuke," Naruto said angrily as he shook his fist at Sasuke when he passed. "That's 1 point for the caramel apples," said Kakashi as he put up a little tally mark next to the picture of the caramel apple mascot. Sasuke came over back to the bench. "Nice job, Sasuke," squealed Ino. "Sit next to me. I'll get a home run too," yelled Lee as he sprang up and grabbed the bat, running up to home plate faster than you could say, something that you could potentially say really really fast. "Swing batter batter," Naruto continued. "Swing swing saw wing." Kiba joined in. "Geez you guys," Tenten said, rolling her eyes. As Naruto and Kiba continued to chant, "Who put these 2 guys together?" Tenten threw the ball to Lee. Lee was all pumped with the battle aura around him, and he was glowing all sorts of colors, and, as the ball flew closer and closer, everyone in the outfield backed up more and more. They knew he would hit it far. They just wanted to be ready. "Yeah!" screamed Lee as he swung the bat as hard as he could, but then stopped it at the last second. The ball rolled a few feet forward. Lee immediately took off sprinting around the bases. Sakura, the catcher, had just begun to uncover her eyes when he was skidding over home plate. "Great job, Lee!" yelled Guy, giving thumbs up. "Safe," Asuma said. "Home run," cheered Lee as he did the happiest victory dance ever. "The score is now caramel apples 2, woodchucks 0. Kakashi said as he changed the 1 to a 2 next to the caramel apples. "Come on, guys," said Kiba. "We have to pick it up. Let's pick it up." "Yeah," agreed Naruto. "Everyone has to pick up their game." On the bench, the caramel apples were trying to decide who would go next. "I don't want to ruin our home run streak," said Choji. Ino agreed. "I agree." She agreed. "That means you're up, Neji," said Shikamaru. "Me," said Neji. He had hoped that maybe there would be 3 outs by the time it was his turn. Now he was expected to go up and get a home run just like Sasuke and Lee did. He didn't need everyone to know that he was bad at another thing. People just assumed that he was good at everything just because he had mad skills at fighting. And, even though he kind of liked that, it was a little embarrassing when everyone came to realize that he couldn't do another thing. But he had been observing Lee, Sasuke, Naruto and Kiba. He had seen how they bat and which way he was supposed to run. So he took the bat silently and walked up to home plate. He tried to ignore Kiba and Naruto's constant and senseless jeering and tried to concentrate only on the ball. The first pitch came, and then went. Neji didn't even swing. "Strike 1. Asuma yelled as Neji stepped backwards from the plate for a moment. He wiped his face. He hadn't even done anything yet and he was already sweating bullets. "Come on, Neji," cheered Guy. Neji stepped back up to the plate. He swore to himself that he would swing on this pitch. Once again, the ball flew by and Neji was unable to react. He was stressing himself out way too much. Strike 2. Asuma yelled again. Likewise, Tenten was stressing out just as much. She had no desire to pitch to Neji since she knew how awesome he was. She figured that he was just waiting for the perfect pitch. Neji took one last deep breath and stepped up to the plate. He tried to psyche himself up by thinking about the main house and his father and how he lost to Naruto in the tournament and various other things. Clutching the bat tightly, he watched as Tenten wound up to throw again. Everyone was watching and if he messed up, he'd lose his reputation, again. She threw the ball and it whizzed right by. Strike 3. You're out. Asuma yelled way too enthusiastically. Neji stood in his frozen state for a moment. Tenten nearly dropped her glove in surprise. In fact, everyone nearly dropped their gloves in surprise. Guy cleared his throat and approached Neji. You know, Neji, he began as he led Neji off the field. The object of the game is to hit the ball. That was hard to watch, commented Shikamaru. You go up there next, then. Said Lee since he always sticks up for Neji. Except when there's someone else he could potentially stick up for. No way, it's too troublesome. Shikamaru replied. Please Shikamaru. Begged Choji. I want you to be on base when I hit it so I might be able to get you home. Fine, said Shikamaru, standing up and grabbing the bat. He walked up to home plate. Shikamaru's got nothing, yelled Naruto. Swing. Shikamaru just got that this is so troublesome face. Tenten pitched and Shikamaru turned himself so that the ball hit him in the back. Walk. Called Asuma. He stepped into that. Sakura said, standing up. No he didn't. Asuma replied. Yes he did. Argued pretty much everyone on the woodchucks. Fine, fine. He said stubbornly. So Tenten pitched again and Shikamaru just so happened to step into it once again. Walk. Asuma yelled. No, he stepped into that one too. Sakura said angrily. Shikamaru only looked at Asuma with a very convincing expression. He did no such thing. Asuma said. Play ball. Sakura groaned as Tenten pitched again. A third time, it hit him. You can't say he didn't step into that one. Said Sakura. Asuma was overtaken by the little Chunin best folded on the bench. He didn't. He gets to walk. He said. Asuma, said Kurenai. I've been letting it slide but Shikamaru has stepped in front of all three of those perfect pitches. Hey, who's the umpire here? Asuma demanded. You're not going to be umpire for very much longer if you keep playing favorites like this. Said Guy. Fine, said Asuma. Play ball. Tenten threw another pitch and this time, it went perfectly clear over home plate but Shikamaru did not step in front of it. In fact, he didn't swing at all. Ball 4. Asuma yelled. He gets to walk. Shikamaru dropped his bat and started strolling to first base. What? Guy hollered. That pitch was perfect. I was way over here and I even saw that it was perfect. And not only that, it would be ball 1. Asuma is a biased umpire. Yelled the other team. I am not. Asuma retorted. The game continued for 8 more innings. Neji was finally learning how to swing the bat towards the end, but the game was over when he finally took a swing. He missed it, of course, but that's beside the point. Let's not make him feel worse about it than he already does. Oh my god. Gasped Guy. A tie. Tiebreaker. Everyone looked over at the scoreboard to see that it was, in fact, 9-9. This is entirely unexpected. Said Kakashi. All right, for the tiebreaker, began Kurenai. We do an extra inning. Kiba said. No. Kurenai replied angrily. This has got to be the most boring challenge we have ever thought up and there's no way we're going to do another inning. Instead, we're going to conduct a mini competition to decide which team wins. Each team has to pick one representative to perform the task. Asuma said. What's the task? Asked Shikamaru. It would be better if we could plan accordingly. Oh. Said Asuma. Well, it's whoever can hit the ball closest to a certain landmark. He pointed at Guy who had just sprinted way far off into the outfield. Whoever can hit the ball closer to Guy wins it for their team. And did we forget to mention? Said Kurenai with a slight laugh. You pick the representative for the other team. Meaning the woodchucks choose a member from the caramel apples and the caramel apples choose a member from the woodchucks. Gasped everyone. The 2 teams went into huddles. All right, said Shikamaru to the rest of the caramel apples. I'm taking the amount of hits by each player into account and the person with the lowest batting average is Hinata. Well, then I guess there's not really much for us to discuss. Said Choji. The woodchucks had a very similar conversation, except it was more dumbed down. Since Neji never even swung once, let's pick him. Said Kiba. All right. Cheered the woodchucks as they jumped up into the air like a group of Power Rangers. What are the choices? Asked Kakashi. We pick Hinata. Said Lee, dramatically pointing at Hinata who gasped. And we pick Neji. Naruto responded, dramatically pointing at Neji who knew he was going to be picked. Oh no. Guy yelled. Once again, the HYUUGAS, one from the main house and one from the branch house, must face off against each other. What is to happen? Everyone stared at him. You're supposed to be out there. Asuma yelled, pointing to where Guy should have been standing. Sorry, said Guy as he ran back out to where he was supposed to stand. So, I'm going to throw the ball to Hinata first, started Kakashi. Yeah, of course he'd throw it to Hinata first, said Neji under his breath but loud enough for everyone to hear. No, it's just because her name comes first in the alphabet, said Kakashi. But anyway, I'll throw it to Hinata first and she'll hit it. Then I'll throw it to Neji and he'll hit it. Of course, these hits are theoretical. And whoever hits it closest to Guy wins. Aw man, said Lee. I was hoping she wouldn't hit it. Now we're doomed. Neji, just go up there and do nothing like you usually do, said Shikamaru. I'll take care of everything. Neji only glared at Shikamaru and then took the bat from Hinata, who was celebrating with her team happily. They all supported her because they all loved her. Especially Kiba. Remember to swing, Neji. Guy bellowed from the outfield just as Kakashi pitched. Neji could feel it. He was going to swing this time. But before he could swing, he swung. The bat connected with the ball. The ball sailed over the field and landed on the ground, coming to a stop right at Guy's feet. Everyone was astounded, but Neji was the most astounded of all. This was because, of course, he hadn't moved his body. And now as he stood there in the follow-through position, he still couldn't do so. Then, all of a sudden, he could. He turned around to his team to see Shikamaru's shadow retracting. No one noticed this because they were all too busy being astounded. Not even other members of the Caramel Apple team noticed. If you could do that the whole time, why didn't you swing during the game? Demanded Lee. Oh, I get it. You knew it could come down to a tiebreaker, so you pretended to be bad the whole game so that the other team would pick you to do this part. That real sly. I envy you for being so sly. Before you all go home, we would like to request that both teams choose an MVP of the game, said Asuma. And then we teachers are going to pick MVPs of each team. Asuma, I thought we said we weren't going to do that, said Kurenai. But I want to, whined Asuma. So you can all talk amongst yourselves, said Kakashi. I think that Sasuke should be the MVP, said Ino. What about Shikamaru? Said Choji. He did everything. He did nothing. Ino yelled. I think we're all the MVP, said Lee, getting fireball eyes. Lee, you're not helping, said Ino. Let's do this the right way, said Shikamaru. Let's just go around the group and ask who wants who to be MVP. We know that Ino wants Sasuke to be MVP and we know that Choji wants me. And we also know that Sasuke wants himself to be the winner, of course. But Sasuke started, but then he realized that it was true, so he shrugged and nodded. Neji, who do you want to be MVP? Asked Shikamaru. Neji said slowly. I'd have to say you, Shikamaru. You know why, right? Said Shikamaru. That's 2 for me and 2 for Sasuke. What about you, Lee? I vote for Neji because he pulled for the team in the end, said Lee. No, it's between me or Sasuke, Shikamaru said. Oh, said Lee. He looked truly torn. You both played your hardest. I choose you both. All right, said Shikamaru with a roll of his eyes. Since I'm the only one who hasn't voted, then I'm the deciding vote. Damn, Sasuke thought. And I choose Sasuke, Shikamaru said. Everyone was surprised. Why? Asked Sasuke. Because being an MVP is troublesome, Shikamaru replied. The woodchucks were having their shares of problems. I vote for Hinata, said Kiba. She was our captain, she played her hardest and, though she didn't win at the end, she still gave it her all. That's why I choose her. Great job, Hinata. Thanks Kiba, said Hinata. But I'm going to vote for Naruto because he never stopped trying and had a lot of team spirit. Kiba nearly deflated with unhappiness. I vote for me too, said Naruto. That's 2 votes for me. What about you, Shino? Asked Hinata pleasantly. I'm going with majority, said Shino, who literally hasn't said anything in the past few chapters. No way, said Sakura. I refuse to vote for Naruto. And, since the only way to beat him is to vote for Hinata because she already has a vote, I vote for Hinata. Me too, said Tenten. Just because I want a girl to win. And since Shino is going with majority, that means it's 4 votes for Hinata and 2 votes for Naruto, said Kiba. Nice job Hinata. Oh, I thought that Naruto deserved to win, said Hinata. Nope, it was you, said Kiba. But I only hit the ball a few times, Hinata said. Naruto hit it every time. Nope, it was you, Kiba repeated, but in a more irritated voice. Well, all right then, said Hinata, a little sad. Have you decided on your MVPs? Asked Guy, who had returned from the outfield. Ours is Sasuke, said Ino. What a surprise, groaned Naruto. And ours is Hinata. Kiba finished. Excellent, said Asuma. Congratulations. And now it comes down to the teachers' MVP decisions, said Kakashi. We cannot choose the same MVP that the students picked. We'll start with the caramel apples. And we pick Lee because his team spirit was just off the scale, Kurenai announced. Why? Cheered Lee. Guys, I thought we were going to pick Shikamaru, said Asuma. We just said that to shut you up, said Kakashi. But Shikamaru did everything, Asuma said. Shikamaru did nothing, yelled Kurenai. Shikamaru would have got offended if it wasn't so troublesome. As for the woodchucks, said Guy turning to the woodchucks. It was a long process but we finally emerged with the perfect MVP, said Kakashi. And that's TENTEN. TENTEN. Yelled Naruto. What about me? What about my team spirit and my hitting the ball skills? A team is nothing without its pitcher, said Guy. And what a pitcher she is. Yay, cheered Tenten. 2 members from my team received MVP awards, said Guy happily. Asuma, I couldn't help but notice that your team was the only one that didn't receive any MVP awards, said Kakashi. Yeah well, Asuma said pulling out the tally sheet. Shikamaru is a chunin so I'm automatically cooler than all of you put together. Thanks for watching.